Tonight, the province puts millions of flu vaccines on order as COVID-19 cases surge.
We all have a part to play, and it starts with everyone getting their flu shot this year.
The push for more people to get the shot is part one of the province's fall preparedness plan. Plus,
showing up to school on the first day and being told, we don't have a teacher for you, go home. That's just insane to me.
The TDSB scrambles to hire more teachers as more students opt to learn from home. And Toronto venues light up in red tonight to shine a spotlight on event workers struggling amid the pandemic. Good evening, I'm Marivel Charouk. Ontario is reporting 478 cases of COVID-19 today, the highest daily number since early May. The Ford government has come up with a fall plan to fight the virus, but as Lorenda Redekop explains, so far, we only know of one piece of that plan.
The first part of the government's action plan on COVID-19 for fall, urging people to get the flu shot.
It is so critical. Never before has the flu shot's been so critical. Someone has a runny nose, or maybe your kids have a runny nose, and right away it's going to backlog the system again.
The government says it's ordering 5.1 million doses, the first available later this month. It comes following another increase in cases of COVID-19. Today, Toronto recorded the highest number of new cases with 153. Peel had 95, and there were 90 in Ottawa. The number of people in hospital is up to 82 compared to 65 a day earlier. 24 of them are in the ICU, 11 on a ventilator. It's still much lower than the hospitalizations we saw in spring. On Twitter, some doctors and infectious disease experts criticized the government, saying it has no plan and that more flu vaccines aren't what are most important right now.
So already this is, too late that action is being taken. And it was extremely disappointing to see that this was the sole announcement.
If we lay it all down at once, the message isn't going to get out to the people.
Frankly,
this doctor says the government will have to take more drastic action. Unlike when cases rose in spring, this time the economy is open.
The population, unfortunately, has shown that vigilance and fear sort of had a limited shelf life and are no longer persisting into the fall. It's going to require closing the banquet halls, closing the indoor dining, things that people are saying and have been saying so that we can keep schools running and we can keep other essential services running in society.
The opposition repeatedly called for more action on long-term care homes, extra staffing and resources.
Experts provided a blueprint for exactly that kind of action months ago. Why has the Premier failed to act?
The province says 99% of homes don't have outbreaks. As for the rest of the fall plan, the government says that'll be released over 6 days. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Confirmed COVID-19 cases are also trending upwards at schools. The province reported 51 new school-related cases today. That includes 26 in students, 7 in staff, and 18 in individuals not identified. The province has reported 141 cases at schools in total so far, including at several around the GTA. About 2.4% of schools in Ontario have seen a confirmed case. The TDSB is on a teacher hiring spree. The board is scrambling to find 100 more teachers in addition to the 300 who were hired overnight. All of this to try to meet surging demand for virtual learning. Ali Chiasson shows us how the first day of online elementary school went.
Ring the virtual school bell because virtual school is finally in session. Kind of. For some.
Everyone, welcome to our live stream. I'm just going to switch my screen here so I can see you all, or you can see me anyway. Hi.
We're going to do a poem called The Stomping Dinosaur.
Unfortunately, not every kindergartner got to do the stomping dinosaur today.
We didn't tell our JK student Blair that she could potentially have school this morning. It wasn't worth getting her hopes up again.
There are still thousands of TDSB students who haven't been assigned a teacher.
She's been looking forward to school for quite a while, and she's been fairly upset seeing the kids go off to school in our neighborhood and her not being able to participate.
Angela Matic, mother of 2 elementary students, says it's like
showing up to school on the first day and being told, we don't have a teacher for you, go home. That's just insane to me.
even though virtual school was supposed to begin for all enrolled TDSB students, staffing issues pushed the first day back yet again.
That's been nothing but confusion, lack of communication, and frustration for most TDS parents, and I would assume also TDSB staff.
So you don't have a schedule yet?
I don't.
This TDSB teacher wanted to remain anonymous while speaking out. She worries about consequences from the school board. Do you have an idea of how many students you would be teaching?
So at this point, I don't have access to my platform to check in to see what kids I have or how many I have, or even to like upload documents or a welcome page or anything like that. But that's why you're getting feedback from families saying, hey, there's nothing here. You're right, because I can't access it. And I'm with you, family. I'm frustrated too.
Many school boards have had issues. In London, even though virtual school started last week, kids are still randomly getting booted off the system.
Unfortunately for us, we have not been able to participate in any of it because we haven't been able to log on. And that part's the part that's really frustrating.
I feel sad that I haven't been getting to see my friends.
And some Toronto Catholic District School Board students don't have their schedules yet.
Are you hopeful that it's going to get figured out?
I hope that it will. I know that teachers are doing their best. If I have to base on them, things will work out in the end.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is set to do something he's never done before, give a prime-time address to the nation. Trudeau is expected to hit the airwaves at 6:30 tomorrow evening to speak to Canadians about his government's plan to deal with the pandemic as cases surge. Then it'll be the opposition's turn, and we'll have all of it for you here on CBC television. That is at 6:30 tomorrow evening after your 6 o'clock news. A state funeral will be held for former Prime Minister John Turner at St. Michael's Cathedral Basilica here in Toronto. The church service will take place on October 6th by invite only and following strict COVID-19 protocols. At the request of the family, there will be no public lying in state or lying in repose. Turner was Canada's 17th Prime Minister. He died last Friday at the age of 91. The Ford Motor Company has reached a tentative deal with the union that represents workers in Oakville and Windsor. It includes a 3-year contract and an investment of nearly $2 billion into retooling the plants to start manufacturing electric cars. Greg Ross has the details.
I think it's fair to say today that as an organization, we hit a home run.
Jerry Diaz is the president of Unifor, the union that represents Ford workers. He says that in addition to a new 3-year contract to continue production in both Oakville and Windsor, Ford has also made a $1.95 billion commitment to start manufacturing electric cars in the next 5 years, which he says ensures the long-term stability for workers.
We will start manufacturing battery electric vehicles in 2025. There will be 5 models between 2025 and 2028. So this is a huge commitment from Ford Motor Company.
Employees at the Oakville plant had heard the news today, but had yet to see the new contract.
I got to take it with a grain of salt still. I can't say yes or no right off the hop. Still got to read it. Everybody has needs.
But for this man who has only been with Ford for 6 years, the investment in the future of the company does seem promising.
I've grown up and lived in Oakville my whole life, so driving past this every day has been awesome, and then to get a job here has been surreal.
The union admits it's likely the conversion to manufacturing electric cars could mean the loss of hundreds of jobs, but they say many of those will be taken care of through attrition.
I'm very glad for the young guys here.
There's a lot of us that have 30 years, 32, 35, a little bit higher, and now it secures their future.
But Diaz says the deal will also require a significant commitment from both the federal and provincial governments. And while neither have announced how much they are willing to invest, Diaz says he's confident they will come through.
We've been talking to both levels of government for months and months about this. And the feds and the province are certainly showing a willingness to participate.
A sentiment Premier Ford seemed to support today.
We're in the midst of negotiating. I want to congratulate Unifor and Ford for working together in protecting these jobs. These jobs are absolutely critical. The technology and having a facility that is the latest and greatest technology out there when it comes to electric cars.
Employees at both the Oakville and Windsor plants will only have a matter of days to look over this contract and make a decision because the vote to ratify this deal is scheduled for Sunday. Greg Ross, CBC News, Oakville.
Residents of Lawrence Park held a walk this evening to bring awareness to the problems facing their community, issues such as gun violence and a lack of resources, especially for youth. As Kelda Yoon reports, the event was also meant to humanize the people who call Lawrence Heights home.
The purpose of this walk is to be visible and to show the public that we're serious about change.
The jazz match James is part of Lawrence Heights Changemakers, made up of concerned members of the community. They were also joined by councillor Mike Cole. In staggered groups, they walked from a community housing building to nearby Yorkdale Mall to demand better safety in their community.
I have little girls coming up to me aged 7, 9, 11 years old. You know, the conversation's in the brochure, but I'll be walking them home sometimes and they'll ask me serious questions like, what do we do if someone comes around the corner and starts shooting at us? There was 44 shootings from January 2019 up until September 2020.
Cole says it was a big blow when the province pulled back funding for a new community center.
That's really caused a lot of despair. So we want that community center back here.
Selena Knight knows firsthand how important they are.
When youth feel that they have no other option, sometimes they turn to something negative. When you pull resources, there used to be a time, I would speak for myself, when I used to have centers and program after program, numerous programs that I could attend. And it gave me skills, it gave me life skills, it gave me employment skills.
More jobs and affordable housing are also on the list of demands.
We would like to see more resources, and a part of that can be private funding going into government housing.
Community members say distrust of law enforcement is another big barrier. Last year, Toronto Police rolled out a plan aimed at strengthening relationships with communities. But Denise Kwame says she often only sees police after a crime.
They'll spend like 1-2 days, and after that, they're gone. And you don't see them for a while again until something bad happens.
Who can they trust? When the officers do come here, they're not really here in a way like trying to engage the community.
At the same time, those here love their community deeply. So this walk, while highlighting problems that need to be addressed, is also meant to humanize those who live here, to show they are more than just the violence we hear about in their neighborhood.
We faced oppression for so long to the point where we're tired of being quiet about it. You know, it's time to bring all people together.
Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Live venues and theaters across the city lit up in red tonight, part of a national show of solidarity in support of the live event community called Light Up Live. Organizers say the vast majority of workers in the industry have been out of work or on government support since March, with no end in sight. Though some Toronto music venues have started to reopen for live streams or limited capacity concerts, there are still many events workers without jobs because of the pandemic. Tonight's display is meant to shine a light, literally and symbolically, on those workers. More than 50 venues in Toronto took part. In honor of his 100th birthday, World War II veteran Marvin Gord wanted to give back to his community. $1 million to be exact, and he's raising it one step at a time.
Thought I'd give it a try and do 20 miles a week for six months. That would be roughly about 500 miles.
We will bring you his story a little later in the show. Plus,
just a pleasant start to fall today. And how about our temperatures going up 5-6 degrees above seasonal? I'm meteorologist Colette Kennedy, and that is how it's looking. I'll have your forecast coming up after the break.
Another Toronto music venue is sounding the alarm about potentially being forced to close its doors. The Dakota Tavern on Ossington is facing the same challenges as other small music venues. But now there's a new one. As Talia Ricci reports, the Dakota may not be able to get insurance.
Another day in the pandemic, another loved Toronto music venue at risk of closing.
It's disastrous for us, but it's disastrous for the whole industry as well.
The owner of Dakota Tavern says in addition to a loss of sales, a lack of shows, and being located in a basement, he's dealing with another challenge.
The situation at the moment now is the policy won't be renewed, and they've got to find somebody before October 17th. They're quite happy to take our money for the last 6 months when there's been nobody in there and no real liability to insure, and now it comes up for renewal. It's no, we're not interested.
The Canadian Live Music Association says they're hearing the same story across the country.
Whether you're in Ontario or Manitoba or Saskatchewan, and that is either complete unwillingness of the underwriter to provide insurance or a steep increase in premiums.
A statement from the Insurance Bureau of Canada says, in part, like many businesses, Canada's insurers have been confronted with increased costs as they continue to support and protect Canadians through this difficult period, adding owners should contact their insurance rep or broker and that they're here to help. The province says it's been in regular contact with the industry to raise issues concerning availability and affordability.
They need to step up and start supporting, rather than running for the hills and saying we aren't going to give anyone insurance.
Reed says the Dakota Tavern has about a month to find insurance before it could join a list of other Toronto music staples forced to shutter during the pandemic.
I suppose they're doing what they think is best for their industry, but it's not what's best for society.
It's sad to see that some of these favorite places may not come back after all this, and not because they weren't doing COVID right, purely because no one will insure them. It's really disheartening for the arts community in Toronto.
Hoping this venue and others will see another encore. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, a lovely evening out there tonight. Colette is here with a look at the forecast. Shades of summer in these early days of fall, Colette.
Thanks, Miravel. What a way to start off fall. And here we go. We're actually going to see things getting better, at least in terms of our weather picture. Why? Because we're going to see the temperatures actually increasing as we head into midweek and the next few days looking very good. Now, high pressure is going to be sliding off a little bit, heading a bit further towards the east. And because of that, tomorrow, lots of sunshine, but then we're going to see a few more clouds moving in. We'll get a chance for some showers on Thursday, although not so much for the GTA. I'm going to explain that. So it does mean that the best bet of seeing some wet weather coming back, I'm not saying you necessarily want that, but the best chance is going to be actually for the second half of the weekend. Showing you the daytime temperatures. This is as of 7 a.m. this morning. So we had some cool readings. I mean, kind of cool, but they were single digits. We're not going to be seeing that tomorrow morning at this time. But 7 a.m. this morning, Kitchener at 2 degrees, Peterborough at the freezing mark, and Toronto is at 8 degrees. By lunchtime, though, look at this. The readings were already up there into the upper teens, and for Chatham, Kent, and Windsor at 20 degrees. And by the time we're at 4 o'clock, lots of those temperatures in the low 20s. A southerly flow off the lake, though, 19 degrees for you there in Oshawa because of that breeze. But what we're seeing overnight tonight, clear skies. You may have noticed when the sun set, still getting some of that haziness. Well, still, I mean, it's come back to us. Some of that smoke way up in the upper atmosphere from the forest fires out west, that has returned again. It's not a respiratory issue because it is so high up in the atmosphere, but just know it's kind of returned here. Now, some of that cloud cover, not an issue for Wednesday. Lots of sunshine, but into Thursday, we will see a little more cloud cover for sure coming back at us. This is into the morning. Into the afternoon, a risk of seeing a few isolated showers, especially to the north and to the east, not so much necessarily for the city or towards the southwest. Overnight tonight, double digits then for your temperatures, and tomorrow I may be being a little optimistic, going for 27 for Windsor. I'm an optimistic person, so that's what I'm going to do for you there. And overnight tonight into the GTA, this is what the readings will look like. So it's a mild start even for the morning hours. And then as we head towards tomorrow afternoon, Highs 24, 25 degrees. Looks like some really nice readings. Thursday, because I'm going to see that little extra cloud cover, I brought the temperatures down just a little bit. By Friday, 26. Saturday does look good. Late day, though, that risk of some showers overnight and maybe even a few thunderstorms thrown in as well. More summer-like than fall-like, perhaps, but that is for Sunday.
26 on Friday. Nice. Thanks, Colette.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
You would think serving your country in the Second World War is service enough. But war veteran Marvin Gord is doing even more. At 99 years old, he's pledged to walk 1 million steps by his 100th birthday, which happens to be on New Year's Eve, and to raise $1 million for the Baycrest Center. He's about halfway to his goal, and today he let us tag along.
So I thought I'd give it a try and do 20 miles a week for six months. That would be roughly about 500 miles. And that's what I'm doing in favor of raising money for Baycrest. I think we're about a little over half of it. Somewhere about 600,000 or 700,000
What's been the toughest part about this whole journey for you?
Having to answer all these questions.
So the walking's the easy part?
Sure, I've been doing it for 40 years.
It gives him a goal and a purpose of something very, very important that our community needs right now, and keeps him active and busy. He's always been part of the community, been involved in different aspects of different things, but more behind the scenes. And here he is, put himself right in front of the scenes and said, come on, gang, it's time to step up and do something and help.
I think it's an inspiring story. Here's someone who's 99, who walks 3.5 miles a day and decided to make his steps count, literally, and help the most vulnerable in our community, to help safeguard our seniors at Baycrest. And I just think it's totally inspiring. It got me as a 34-year-old to think, what am I doing to be active? And now every day I get on the treadmill and I do 3.5 miles as well to virtually walk with Marvin. Everybody just wants to stand behind Marvin and give him the thanks that he deserves for the service that he did for us during World War II.
I think it's a legacy that he's going to leave behind one day, that they're going to be able to say, that was my grandfather, and hopefully follow in his footsteps and give back to the community as well. I think it's a really important lesson for our children to learn. We're so very proud of him. We think this is awesome, and we're there to support him the entire way. Whatever it takes, we're there for him.
Thank you, sir. And that's our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. Have a great night, everyone.